what we're doing is we're watching our predictions come true. And usually as a scientist, you want to see your predictions come true. But as a climate scientist, you don't.
It's a fake. It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened.
January 1970, Life magazine said scientists had solid evidence to support the prediction that by 1980, urban dwellers would have to wear gas masks to survive air pollution.
It's false. No way. Not this time.
In 1970, Harvard biologist George Wald estimated that, quote, civilization will end within 15 or 30 years by 1985 to 2000 unless immediate action is taken against problems facing mankind.
No, not this time.
What scientists are telling us now is that the threat of an ice age is not as remote as they once thought. During the lifetime of our grandchildren, Arctic cold and perpetual snow could turn most of the inhabitable portions of our planet into a polar desert.
It's fiction. We made it up.
In 1980, ecologist Kenneth Watt predicted the world would be 4 degrees colder in 1990 and 11 degrees colder in the year 2000. That, by the way, didn't happen.
We made this one up.
If the Earth gets too warm, for example, ice caps could melt, raising the level of the seas.
Possible, probable, we really don't know. But if it happens, it means goodbye Miami, goodbye Corpus Christi, goodbye Sacramento, goodbye Boston, which obviously is much more of a concern, goodbye New Orleans, goodbye Charleston, Savannah, and Norfolk. On the positive side, it means that we could enjoy boating at the foot of the Capitol and fishing on the South Lawn.
It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
1989, Noel Brown, a UN environmental official, said entire nations would be wiped off the Earth if sea levels from global warming were not reversed by the year 2000.
It's a made-up tale.
But in 2008, Al Gore, by the way, he might know how much his wealth has grown off of climate alarmism, but he cited a claim from another climate researcher that the North Pole may be ice-free by the year 2013. That didn't happen either.
It's a total fabrication.
In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer.
After such a long spell of cold, wet weather, is it time for the scientists to admit that the drastic temperature rises they predicted have at the moment failed to materialize?
It's fiction.
This is Mount Kilimanjaro more than 30 years ago and more recently. And a friend of mine just came back from Kilimanjaro with a picture he took a couple months ago. Another friend, Lonnie Thompson, studies glaciers. Here's Lonnie with a last sliver of one of the once mighty glaciers. Within the decade, there will be no more snows of Kilimanjaro.
It never happened.
How can such a massive layer cake of volcanic rock shoot up from the Tanzanian plains and touch the clouds so high that its peak is snow-capped on the equator? Snow as far as the eye can see, a blinding white with glaciers off in the distance, massive glaciers.
It's gotta be the wrong year.
Unfortunately, scientists believe that all of the glaciers on Kilimanjaro will be completely melted and disappear by 2025.
No way. We got you. Not a chance.
This is happening in Glacier National Park. I climbed to the top of this in 1998 with one of my daughters. Within 15 years, this will be the park formerly known as Glacier.
It's false. It never happened. You're wrong.
1988, Maldives Director of Environmental Affairs predicted the rising sea levels threatened to cover the islands in the next 30 years.
It never happened.
2004, Pentagon climate change report said Britain will be Siberia by the year 2020.
This one was invented by a writer.
Some of this Harvard scientist's predictions, he said the chance that there will be any permanent ice left in the Arctic after 2022 is essentially zero.
Not this time. It never happened.
Arctic polar bears are facing near extinction by the end of the century if the sea ice they depend on continues to disappear.
There are currently somewhere from 22,000 to 31,000 polar bears in the world, according to the World Wildlife Fund. This is up from the organization's estimate of 20,000 to 25,000 10 years ago in 2011. So we can verify, yes, recent studies show polar bears' numbers have actually increased of late.
I want to bring you an example of my favourite climate catastrophist, Greta Thunberg, who deleted a tweet from 5 years ago, which featured a prediction. She wrote, in June 2018, she shared this. She said, a top climate scientist warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years.
It never happened. We made this one up.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is... Your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it?
But I can't believe you anymore.